Even if one whose blade flickered like flames was fairly easy to guess, there was no way to tell what the sword that looked like a whip, squirming like a centipede, did. They looked as they walked by in silence. After going a little over 100 yards past probably several thousand weapons, they reached their destination and entered a rectangular room. Perhaps because it served as a waiting room, the only things inside were a sofa and a table. Looking to either side, there appeared to be a corridor leading out, similar to the one through which they had come in. At the end of that corridor, the atmosphere completely changed. If they'd been in a museum so far, this place was an ancient tomb. The width and height were about the same, but the lights were dimmer and it continued fairly deep. Then they were at a good angle, so it was hard to tell what was there, but something was resting in a big hollow. Ainz responded to the quizzical looks he felt staring from behind him. The mausoleum is up ahead. The mausoleum, sir. You don't know the name of this room we were about to go into, Albedo? I named it. So does that mean she doesn't know about the guy who manages the treasury either? Then, have you heard of Pandora's actor? Yes, I am aware of his name and appearance. I also know that he has an administrative job. Pandora's actor is the domain guardian of the treasury. He is about as strong as Demiurge or myself. His job is to manage this place and to ready funds in the event Nazarik's defense system goes into action. In other words, he is responsible for financial affairs. Yeah, but that is not all. He interrupting Ainz's reply, a figure suddenly appeared from the other corridor. The three NPCs turned to look at it. It looked very strange. It had a human body with a head that resembled a warped octopus. A tattoo with broken letters covered the right side of its face. They looked like the letters that had appeared on the door. Its skin was the purplish white of a corpse. It had a strange sheen, as if it were covered in mucus. Its hands had 4 slender fingers with webs between them. It was wearing a perfectly tailored outfit of gleaming leather. The outfit was all black with silver accents. Several belts were hanging loose. A black cape was wrapped around its shoulders, fastened in front. What else besides grotesque could really be said of this being's appearance? Waving the 6 tentacles that sprouted from the sides of its mouth and hung to about its thighs, it turned its pale, clouded, pupil-less eyes on Ainz and the others. Albedo screamed, her face flushed with shock. Lord Tabula Smaragdina, it was one of the 41 supreme beings. Compared to Ainz in terms of sheer firepower, he was the superior caster. No, it is not. Albedo howled immediately. At that, both maids leaped into action. Shizu drew her gun, held the stock to her shoulder, and pointed the barrel at the figure who had appeared. Yuri punched her fists into each other in front of her chest. The gauntlets bumping together made a metallic sound like a gong. Then she moved smoothly to stand next to Albedo in front of Shizu and Ainz. Her position was meant to protect those two, since as a caster and gunner, they were at a disadvantage in close combat. "Who are you?" she asked. "Even if you take on the appearance and presence of one of the 41 supreme beings, I won't mistake my own creator." In response to Albedo's challenge, the being that looked like Tabula Smaragdina didn't respond, just cocked his head. "I see. Kill him," she said. Her cold voice rang out, but the Pleiades displayed slight hesitation. Though they didn't know his true identity, fighting someone who looked like one of the creators felt wrong. In this case, it should probably be said that the Pleiades were wrong. But Albedo had just performed superiorly, making a level-headed judgment with zero hesitation. It was a response that prioritized the safety of the one under her protection, Ainz. She clicked her tongue at the other two who were moving and was about to charge, but Ainz, displeased, spoke faster. "That is enough. Change back Pandora's actor." Tabula Smaragdina twisted and warped. After a moment, the one standing there was still grotesque, but different. His face was smooth, with all protuberances like a nose grated completely off. There were holes where his eyes and mouth would have been. He had no eyeballs, lips, teeth, or tongue, just black holes, the kind of features a child would draw with a pen. His slick head, reminiscent of a pink egg, gleamed. Not a single hair grew from it. This strange being, like Narbaral, was a doppelganger. He was Pandora's actor, the level 100 NPC created by Ainz and manager of the treasury. He could take on the appearance of 45 different beings and even use their abilities, albeit at 80% power. The badge on his regulation cap was the crest of Ainz gown. That said, he was wearing an outfit that looked an awful lot like the uniform of the neo-Nazi SS that had created a buzz 20 years prior in the European Archaeology War. He clacked his heels together and brought his right hand to his cap in an exaggerated salute. "Welcome and thank you for coming, my creator, Lord Momonga. Well, you're pretty lively, aren't you?" "Yes, I am, lively going about business here. Speaking of which, what can I do for you? You've even brought the captain of the floor guardians and a pair of maids. Hello, young ladies." With the appearance of the domain guardian, Albedo and Yuri retreated to a more subordinate position behind Ainz. The three women all reacted in different ways. Yuri was proud of her position in the Pleiades. When referred to as a young lady, she quickly pushed up her glasses, displaying slight displeasure. Next to her, Albedo was jealous that Ainz was her creator. She pushed her lips forward in a pout, since Ainz couldn't see. Shizue's attitude didn't change at all. She just put away her gun. "I came to get some of our greatest treasures in the deepest room, the world items." "What? The time to unleash their power is upon us." His surprise seemed purposely overblown. Ainz furrowed his non-existent brow at his behavior. "The clothes too, but why did I make a guy who does everything in such an exaggerated way?" No, he knew the answer. Ainz made Pandora's actor. In other words, at some point he had thought everything he did was cool and had made him, while inwardly thinking how proud he would be. Somehow, he used to think guys in military uniforms looked cool. And he figured since his name contained the word actor, he should do everything in a theatrical way. But when he saw him actually walking and talking, man, he so lam. Ainz's true feelings leaked out in a truly tiny voice, lower than anyone could make out. "This is a past I want to pretend never happened. A living past I want to pretend never happened. If other guild members were in this Nazarick, where the NPCs were alive, they'd probably faint in agony." He had that feeling anyhow, though he wouldn't say specifically who he had in mind. "Okay, I need to get back on track. I don't have time for mental disturbances, which shouldn't even happen if I am undead," he quietly told himself, regaining his composure. "Indeed, it is time. I am planning on taking avarice and selflessness, the bowl of Hygeia, the infinity blade, and Sangashasho Kuzu. What about the other two? Leave them. Those are single-use items. Their power is immense, so we need to consider carefully when to use them. Or maybe we just can use them until we find out how to get another one. That is true, huh? The powers of those super dreadnought items truly are last resorts. They make the impossible possible and warp the very world. Pandora's actor, I want to test your knowledge. There are supposedly 200 total world items. How many do you know?" "Apologies, Lord Momonga. I know only 11. Ainz nodded. That was the number of world items the guild possessed. Pandora's actor didn't know about the ones that had been stolen while they were in the process of acquiring them, like Atlas. So there were still some points that were unclear, but even though NPC's knowledge was partially determined by their settings, it was probably best to consider some unreasonable settings cancelled. He also realized something about their settings after several days of observing them. Certain parts of their personalities, which hadn't been in their backstories, and their relationships with the other NPCs, seemed to be partially inherited from their creators. He could see it in the relationships of Sholtia and Aura and Demiurge and Sebas. Ainz smiled without moving his face. They were really just like kids. The feeling like his lost friends were there with him made him happy and lonely at the same time. He shook his head to clear out the emotion. "I see, Pandora's actor. Sorry for the silly question. Not at all. I apologize for not knowing more." And a salute. The whole time, every move he made was over the top. "Mid-S fine. We'll be going deep into the mausoleum now. Since you're the manager here, is there anything else I should know about?" "No, sir. Everything here is yours to do with as you will," he said in a theatrical tone, gesturing grandly around the area. "It is a bit of a shame, though. I thought perhaps the time for you to use my powers had come, Lord Momonga." Ainz stopped and took a close look at him, as if observing something odd. He had, of course, been considering it. Pandora's actor's backstory showed he had some of Nazarick's best brains and ingenuity. In peaceful times he used it in weird ways, but in an emergency, his intellect was worth having around. Plus, his abilities could be applied in any number of ways, Depending on the situation, he could perform the function of every guardian. But the reason Ainz created him wasn't for combat or running the organization. It was to leave a record of Ainz Ulgaun and his friends. You are our last resort. I don't want to just send you on an errand. Thank you, my lord. He looked like he wanted to say something more maybe, and then exaggeratedly bowed his head. Understood. Then I shall continue to devote myself to managing the treasury. I'll be counting on you. Also from now on, call me Ainz Ulgaun. Wow, I will, my creator, Lord Ainz. Pandora's actor bowed, and Ainz turned on his heel to signify the conversation was over. Then a voice came from behind him. Lord Ainz, I realize this is impertinent of me, but if the situation is such that you have to use world items, I humbly wonder if it wouldn't be better for me to leave the treasury and work on other levels. He had a point. Pandora's actor was a treasure, but to keep him on display only and waste the greater fortune would be foolish. Ainz should consider this an emergency and mobilize him. Plus, he needed to move some gold coins from the treasury to the throne room Having made his decision, he turned around to catch Pandora's actor putting his hand over his heart in appeal. Shizu, with her unchanging expression, quietly uttered a wow that Ainz was convinced couldn't be taken in a good way. It soared at his heart, but then his mood was stabilized. Pandora's actor's actions were too over the top, especially the way he clearly thought, I am so cool, aren't I? With every move and pose. That might come off well if the guy doing it was actually cool, but this guy was an egghead. He was too kooky to the point where watching him was embarrassing. Ainz looked at Pandora's actor silently for a few moments. Then he took a ring out of space and tossed it to him. The ring flew in an arc and landed perfectly in Pandora's actor's hand. This is a ring of Ainz Ulgaun. It allows you to Ainz put up a hand to stop Pandora's actor from continuing. He would overlook the unfortunate reaction. Urea reserve, though. Albedo, let the minions know about him. Until then, Pandora's actor, keep your activities between the throne room and the treasury. Understood. Both their voices rang out, and Pandora's actor clicked his heels together so hard the clack was audible. Then he bowed in such an extremely polite way, to put it negatively, it looked fake, that even his fingers were stretched perfectly straight. Looking at that egghead, Ainz gently shook his head. He is not a bad guy, and in terms of his abilities he is pretty effective. Just yikes. Why did I have to give him this personality? How could I have thought that was cool? Well, I mean, the military uniform is still kinda cool, but if Ainz had been able to blush, his face would have been bright red. Hey, Pandora's actor. He clamped down on Pandora's actor's shoulders and pulled him away, saying, come here a minute. Naturally, he told Albedo and the maids to stand by where they were. Tell me something, this is important. I am your creator, and I have your complete devotion, right? You are correct, my lord, I was made by you. If you told me to go to battle against the other supreme beings, I would do so unhesitatingly. I see, so then you can consider this an order from that being, that man your master, or a favor, or whatever, but cut out the saluting. Pandora's actor's gaping eyes looked hard at Ainz. There was no understanding of what he'd been told reflected in his eyes. Aha, look, how to say isn't it weird to salute? Stop it. The military uniform, well, you ray strong, so ELL roll with it. But seriously, no more saluting. When ease mains God's will. Is that German? Stop that too. No, it is fine if you do it, just not in front of me, okay? I am counting on you. Why, yes, sir. Pandora's actor gave a vague reply, as if he was just now feeling picked on. Ainz backed up a bit at some point. Their faces had gotten so close, it seemed like they were going to kiss, and weakly pleaded with him. I am really counting on you, okay? I never thought I'd have my mood forcibly stabilized by something like this. This is more embarrassing than riding a gigantic hamster. I can believe it. Really, I'd like to hash this out further, but this is an emergency, so let us leave it here for today. Okay, there is something we need to do before we enter the mausoleum. Albedo, give your ring of Ainz Ulgaun to Pandora's actor. She made a face, as if she wanted to ask why, so Ainz told her, it is the last trap. The golems and avatars back there are programmed to attack anyone with a ring. That includes you and me. I see raiders would need a ring to invade this place, so they would definitely trigger the final trap. Pretty devious, right? I hadn't thought of that. Having replied, Albedo took the ring off her left ring finger with extreme reluctance, wrapped it in a silk handkerchief, and handed it to Pandora's actor. As he watched, Ainz took off his ring as well and placed it in a ring storage box he'd taken out of space. Oh, Ainz remembered something and put all the rings that didn't have owners yet into the storage box. Even if they were stored in space, they would be perceived as on him, and the avatars would attack when he entered the mausoleum. Mistress Albedo, would you please let go? Turning around at the frustrated voice, Ainz saw that the two of them were playing tug-of-war over the handkerchief. My ring, but like Lord Ainz said, if you go in there wearing it, you'll get attacked. It's just for a little while. What are you saying? This is the ring Lord Ainz gave me. Yet you would, Albedo, we don't really have time for this. If you want to give it to him, then I am my apologies. I am ready to go now. She let go so abruptly that Pandora's actor yelped as he fell off balance and staggered a couple of steps. You are then let us go. Pandora's actor, use Yuri and Shizu to help you move some of our assets to the throne room. Albedo's ring may be a burden to carry around, but please honor her feelings and use the one I gave you, not hers. Thank you, Lord Ainz. I was thinking how unforgivable it would be for someone else to use the ring you gave me. That said, I know we ray in an emergency, so I wouldn't mind so much. But as I was thinking that, I wanted you to know how I felt about it. Then you understood without my even having to bring it up. Understood. But who shall I leave here to meet you when you return? Albedo, whose passionate ramblings had been cut short by Pandora's actor, was making a face no elegant beauty should ever make. And Ainz moved her out of his field of vision. He didn't want to have his dreams of beautiful women crushed any more than she wanted to be interrupted. It'll probably take a little while. I'll send you a message later. Come back right away when you get it. We can leave without that ring. Yes, sir. Pandora's actor and the two maids sent Ainz off with deep bows as he walked into the mausoleum accompanied by only Albedo. It was a dimly lit space where not a sound could be heard appropriate for enshrining spirits of the dead. Feeling slightly guilty for disrupting the silence, Ainz said, by the way, Albedo, how much do you know about world items? I know that they are great treasures collected by the supreme beings and that I am allowed to carry one of them that's about it. I see. Then sometime soon I'll write a list of the ones I know. It's safer to have more people aware of this information. Before that, maybe I'll tell you about some of the dangerous ones. As they walked along, Ainz gave a general overview of what he knew about world items. World items were items that bore heavily on the world of the game Yggdrasil. The world tree Yggdrasil had countless leaves, but one day a giant evil beast appeared and started messily eating them. One by one, leaves fell until only 9 remained. Those leaves were the beginnings of the 9 worlds: Asgard, Ulfheim, Vanaheim, Nidavellir, Midgard, Jotunheim, Niflheim, Helheim and Muspelheim, but the evil beast's shadow loomed over the remaining 9 leaves. The backstory of the game was that players had to travel unknown worlds in order to protect their own. A world item was a fallen leaf, equal in quality to one of those worlds. That's why they had such immense power. Actually, many of them possessed power that was even extraordinary. Many players thought they broke the game's balance, but the developers declared, the world has bigger possibilities than that. They never offered a patch. It seemed the development company had strong feelings for the word world. In Yggdrasil, a class or monster with world in its name was programmed to be far stronger than normal. For example, there were world enemies, such as the last boss of the official campaign, Devourer of the 9 Worlds, who gained immense power by gobbling leaves. Or the class world champion, said to be chosen by the 9 Worlds, that a player could acquire only by winning the associated tournament. While Ainz was explaining all that, they arrived at a place with armed statues lined up inside depressions in the walls on either side. It was similar to the atmosphere in the room before the throne room Lemmigeddon, but while the Lemmigeddon golems were unequipped, these statues all had gear with absolute power. The power they contained was equal even to Ainz's own main gear set. Lord Ainz, are these statues of the supreme beings? Yes, they are. Good eye. The avatars are modeled on my old friends, but really, I am surprised you noticed. They look pretty crummy, right? I don't think the statues capture even a tenth of how cool they were as one created by the supreme beings. I couldn't miss the resemblance. Is that how it works? Yes, it is. But Lord Ainz, considering these statues and the name of this place, did the other supreme beings pass away? That is not quite right. No, it may very well be, he thought, stopping to gaze at the statues. How did Albedo interpret his silence? Her face wore a look of worry. A peerless beauty with a sad expression, no man's heart would go unmoved by that.